They're good stories, they're interesting stories. I've watched the series in Birmingham. There's an interesting backstory to it. Tom Brady, we all love him as a sports star. Wrexham, there's the Hollywood factor, but it's also a challenge for, not say the rest of us, but for us specifically. We work in different parameters, we recruit in different ways, so we have to make the best out of it. We respect those teams. If we can be at our best from where we are now, I think we can challenge a lot of teams.
Frank Lampard, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, I know there's a lot going on, so I really do appreciate it, mate. I just wanted to start with, on the pitch, the transfer window's shut, the season's up and running. How are you, first off?
Yeah, I'm good. We've started, I think, the season pretty well. Certainly in performance. Maybe we haven't got the results possibly I feel like we've deserved, specifically the last 2 games where we've played really well. But I'm happy with that in terms of performance. We had a good pre-season, good work. It's my first pre-season and us as staff to be able to work with the players. So to push on again, hopefully from last year, to get as fit as we can be, well conditioned, try and progress some of our ideas of how we want to play. So it feels at this point like we're in a pretty good place.
On pre-season, from the outside, and it might sound like a simple question, but how important is that, having your first full pre-season with the guys, then really getting to grips with what you want from them? Because obviously it went really well last season, you had such good impact, but having those 6-8 weeks with them, abroad, but also here as well.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that actually does for a manager?
Yeah, well, it's a good point. Coming in mid-season, you're always looking for quick gains with the group, and because our games is so busy and played so regularly, you're always working the next game, and trying to find the right way to get results, which was great. I think we made real positive strides quickly, and we obviously sort of flew up the league, got to the playoff semi. I think we were unfortunate to lose, but we did, and that's football. But I guess what pre-season gives you is a bit of a blank canvas to start again, to see some players in training that you hadn't been able to see so much last year in terms of match play, because it was so intense at the end of the season that, if I'm honest as a manager, it's not easy to give chances to certain players, maybe some younger players or players that are not getting in so much. So they all had their chance to work. Physical condition, I felt like when we came in, the way that we work and train, it's like I'm a big believer in how you train physically through the week as well as other things, but it's how conditioned you are to produce on the Saturday. And I wanted to hold that. If we want to be a top team in this league, our physical condition has to be big. So pre-season just gives you time to work, to start fresh, brought in some new players, rearranged the squad a little bit. And it was good. It was good for us today. It was very positive to have a good pre-season.
On the last 4 months, I know you mentioned the semi-final there, up until now. From my perspective, what is the biggest thing you've learned as a manager in that time? If you think it must be 120, 130 days since that semi-final up until now, we're 5 games in. When you take a step back and you think about it, what's the biggest thing you've learned about your team, but also yourself as a manager as well?
Yeah, well, I think probably, like I said before, the intensity of the games towards the end of the season, striving everything to get to a playoff final, which you didn't quite make, but I think the best thing about the break is reflection, myself and for us as coaches, to take a step back and look at where the team had been, where it's got to, and I think the important thing is to try and learn where we can improve and get better. So there was some practical stuff there, where the idea of keeping our best players, that was really important, and we've pretty much done that, which is a big positive, because we've got consistency, but it's like, how can we work to get better? What did I learn? I think I learned that we've got some good players here by the end of the season, how we performed. But when you really sort of dive into, where can we get improvements, it gave us, from my point of view, I'm like, we've got good players here, but how can we get more out of them? Because the thing about this group of Coventry, the lads, they really want to get better. They really want to learn. They're quite young in a lot of the squad. So I learned that we're a pretty good squad, and I learned that probably, which I knew already, that we have a lot of work to do to make the suitable improvements to remain up and around the top 6, rather than to have a season which Coventry have had in the last 3, where you're starting slow and striving to get there. We wanted to start stronger, and I think performance-wise we have.
On this season, again, from the outside, it feels like the most competitive the Championship has ever been. And I know that cliche gets thrown around a lot about it's the most competitive league in the world, Tuesday, Saturday, the physical nature of it. Is it the hardest and tightest it's ever been, do you think?
I believe so, because you're right, it is for me one of, if not the most competitive leagues. I think you see that in results week on week. Anything can happen. People say that about a lot of leagues, but it does happen in the Championship. Strange results, hard to predict. And I think this season, particularly, the teams that come down, the parachute teams as they are, they always come down with a lot of power in their squads. Financially, they have more power to be able to fill their squads with, and make them perceive like potentially stronger. What's different this year, I think, is the Birmingham and Wrexham coming up have obviously invested heavily. So they've changed the parameters of teams that normally come up from League One. And there are also a lot of teams this summer that have probably historically strong teams in the league that have challenged teams like Norwich and Middlesbrough and West Brom. Maybe thought last year didn't do so well, so they've also invested. Some have changed manager. So it does feel like it's across the board a stronger, more competitive league this year. But at the same time, you can really, really analyse that a lot. We just have to focus on ourselves, understand what we did last year, the positives of it, and say how can we get even better.
You mentioned Wrexham and Birmingham, and not those clubs specifically I wanted to talk about, but more American investment coming to the Championship. A lot of our viewers are from the US. Obviously, they'll know you from your time, not only at Chelsea, but also at New York as well. Is that the biggest difference, is that when they're coming up, because of that investment from the US, it just tightens the gap between League One and the Championship? Is it as simple as that in terms of from the US point of view?
I think if you go through teams that are financially well backed, there'll be a general trend that they perform towards the top of the league.
Yeah.
Now, there are lots of other parts to it, but it is a trend because, you're trying to recruit good players, and sometimes even as a coach, you're as good as your players to a degree. So I think we've seen it in the Premier League as well, that change. But in our league, yes, teams you referenced there, Ipswich, Wrexham, Birmingham, if they get that good investment, I'm all for it, by the way. I mean, I'm working here at Coventry, we work within our parameters. I think it's good. They're good stories. They're interesting stories. I've watched the series of Birmingham. There's an interesting backstory to it. Tom Brady, we all loved him as a sports star. Wrexham, there's the Hollywood factor. It's good for the game. It's good probably for the Championship, for the coverage maybe it gets around the world. That's important. But it's also a challenge for, not say the rest of us, but for us specifically, we're not like that. We work in different parameters, we recruit in different ways, so we have to make the best out of it. We respect those teams because they're good stories, but if we can be at our best from where we are now, I think we can challenge a lot of teams. I think Ipswich are a very strong squad in the league this year. If you look at their squad, starting team and bench, a lot of Premier League experience and exciting players, but we try not to be fearful of anyone.
You mentioned the eyeballs on the Championship. Someone who's obviously managing the Premier League and the Championship. What's the biggest difference? I'm always fascinated to hear from someone who's been in both, because they're very similar but very different.
Yeah,
in a way.
They're different, and I think that's what you respect. The Premier League as possibly being the best league in the world, in my opinion, and I think probably the viewing and interest probably shows that how it reflects around the world. And there is a big difference because having played in it, worked in it, the talent level in the Premier League is really big. And so for all of us in the Championship, whether it be me as a coach, the club as a club, the players as individuals, to look up and go, how can we get to that is an important to understand. It is a lot of work that we all have to do to try and get there because of the level of talent and the investment that the Premier League has. But we have our strengths here in the Championship. Sometimes I think as a coach working in the Premier League, you're very understanding of what the best teams do. They kind of do the same stuff every week, but they do it really, really well at a high level. But in a way, as a coach, it's easier to analyse that because you understand the repetitive things that they do. It's can you handle it? In the Championship, there's a lot of different styles, teams that play with back threes, teams that play more direct, teams that play, and they can change week on week. So it can feel a lot different. So sometimes you can commit to a game plan. You start the game within 10 minutes, you already know it feels really different. So I think the Championship brings up, as a coach, different challenges, which are also interesting, and that's why we do our job. Is
your preparation different from when you were at Chelsea, for example, to when you're at Coventry now?
Yeah, it can be. It can be. There are lots of sides to it. I think sometimes you play with, I was lucky enough to work with some really high-level players at Chelsea. They're very good at taking on information. They kind of do what they do. Of course, you have to give them a direction and tell them what you want from them. And as I say, the opponents really, it's quite consistent in what you're getting. But I think for us in our league now, maybe even a simple point of everybody watches the Premier League. Can I guarantee that my players are watching every Championship opponent? No, I can't. So we have to be very specific about the information we get on the opponents, like their threats or where we can hurt them. But we also have to be ready for different things that can happen in Championship games. In simple terms, you can work all week on the middle of the pitch and how I build and I structure and these things. The games get so often they get decided on things that happen in both boxes, the critical parts and transition of losing the ball. So we focused a lot on that in pre-season in terms of when we win the ball, how quickly can we attack? Can we attack centrally really fast? And I've seen a certain change and uplift in our style from the work that we've been doing, which has been good to see.
And in game as well, tactically, when you're making substitutions or if you're changing the shape, I imagine that's really difficult to balance as well, because as you say, there's patterns, and obviously in both the Premier League and the Championship, but when you're having to do it in the Championship, it can change in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that's your job as a manager. I think I don't know how much percent of your work it is, but a big effect you have on a Saturday game, for instance, is the work you do on Monday to Friday. It's such a huge percentage of work. The messaging to the players, the work on the training ground, us as staff, the man management of the team, so everyone feels as good as they can. And then there's that other small percentage before the game, at half time, at the end of the game, it's quite hard to influence it. But if you can make those changes in game in terms of personnel, or shape or system, because I want to make sure I'm not talking the Championship down here. There's a lot of good tactical coaches in the Championship. So sometimes they can give you a problem and you have to try and fix it very quickly, otherwise the flow of the game can change. So I enjoy the challenge of going up against all the managers. There's a lot of good coaches in the Championship. People think that there's a massive big drop. Premier League is what it is, but there's some very, very good coaches working at our level in the Championship.
And some very good players as well. One man I wanted to mention, Haji Wright. Again, a lot of our viewers will be following him across last season, a huge season for him. But he will have his eyes on being at the World Cup come 26. From your perspective, what does he need to do to be starting at the World Cup for the US? Because it's simple to say he needs numbers, he needs this, that. But what do you want to see from him from now to the end of the season? Not only for Coventry, from a manager point of view, but also personally for him to be on the plane to the US?
Well, I mean, I hope he does. I know how passionate he is about doing it and to represent his country and what that will mean to him. He's very honest about that, as he should be. I think it's certainly not for me to pick the American team or squad, with a lot of respect for Maurizio, and he'll make his decisions as he sees it. But I can comment on him, what he's doing here, and what he needs to do is play like he's started the season and continue that form. Because we've got a Haji now that physically is in great condition, mentally is smiling and very hungry and ready to go. And we've changed his position. He's predominantly played on the left wing, probably in his Coventry career a lot. And my view, as soon as I came in here, was that he's really suited to be our number 9. And I put my trust in him with that. We work on situations within game where he's so strong and his positions, absolutely try and maximise his attributes. The rest is down to him. Haji's got high talent. I think if he really stays as he is now and keeps playing at this level, he will ask all the right questions to get into that American squad and hopefully team.
Just on that, by the way, as someone who played at multiple major tournaments, in the season leading up to a tournament, how much is that in your mind as a player? Because it's obvious when we're all talking about it as fans, there's the media, there's a lot of hype around it. Is that in the back of your mind, or are you very much Monday to Friday, Saturday, Monday to Friday, Saturday?
I can understand why it'll be in Haji's mind, because he was in the squad in the summer. He got injured whilst he was there, and now he hasn't been in a recent squad. So that's obviously jeopardy for him, that he wants to be in that squad. My experience of it, I was fortunate. I managed to be in squads a lot, regularly, for quite a big period of my career. Not when I was really young, but when I did get in, I stayed in. But the trick is, I think, you get your game consistent, you get in back into the squad for Haji, hopefully. And then I don't think Haji has to think about it. You just focus on your performance, your daily training, your prep, playing for Coventry, and then the rest hopefully takes care of itself. And at the minute he's in that mindset to me, he's coming in here, ready, what's the next game? Bang, I'm going to show that I'm Haji Wright. If he does that, I think with his high level of talent, then things will come right for him.
You're in a great moment at the minute, Frank, and one of the things I had to ask you, and I saw it last season, was the fist pump. Now, I saw it at Chelsea, I saw it at Derby. Talk me through the technique, because because honestly, QPR, I wasn't, with all due respect, I wasn't expecting 7, but I saw a few go up and then the 2 hands come up. Has that been worked on, or is that just natural?
No.
The fans love it though.
Well, I'm in it now, for sure. That's it. The fans do, and I've got a good relationship with the fans. I think. I hope that they see the passion that I have for my job. I'm trying to do well for them here and the team, because they all do. But I say roped into this. I got drawn into it at Millwall away, which was my second game in charge. We won. We went to the fans who were there in numbers, as they always are, away at Millwall, and Milan went to do the fist pumps, and he did it, and then the fans kind of called it on with me. I didn't really know what to do. If I go back to that one, I think I probably got it wrong. My timing was out, or whatever it was. So then I kind of, I've slightly worked on my game, and I do it now, and it's one of those.
Bit of analysis.
Yeah, I love doing it because it means we've generally won. I don't do it if we don't win. And probably people look from the outside and go, you're the manager, just go down the tunnel and stuff. But I think it's important that fans sometimes feel the link between manager and club, players and club, and all those things. And it's just something that's just happened now, and it's me, and it's so not me. I'm not.
Really? Not
no.
you at all?
I'm not really like a sort of that's things that overly draw attention. I mean, my job is obviously you're in a lot of the public eye, etc. But I don't know, if you were to equate it to like, would I get on a dance floor at a wedding? I wouldn't. So the fact that I'm fist pumping in front of 30,000 is strange to me.
Oh, it's so mad. And also, I guess on a wider point, the rapport you do have with the Coventry fans feels really special. I mean, it felt like every week last season where you were doing the fist pumps, to be honest. When I was going on social media, I was another win, another fist pump. But that rapport you have with this football club, a one city football club as well, feels special, Frank, if I'm honest.
Well, it's an amazing football club, and I respected that before I came here, but I didn't quite realise the size, the history, the tradition, and the feeling of the fans. Like, our home games are incredible from January onwards last season, when we really kicked into form, to the start of this season. Our away fans are amazing, and yeah, it's something that I'm very thankful for, that they support us so well. And yeah, I am passionate. I think all the clubs I've been at as a coach, I've been at Chelsea. That's obviously different because it was my club as a player. But working at Derby, working at Everton, I think if you give everything in the job, I'd like to think that most fans, not all, this modern world we live in, some will not agree with all your decisions and all this stuff. But if they see you giving everything and buying into it with your life, with everything you can give, I think they respect that. So that's not just a fist pump, hopefully. That's more the work we do and the training around myself and the staff, how much you give to your job. Because it's my responsibility to give everything to this job to help us try and strive towards the top of the Championship and potentially the Premier League.
Tono. Frank, really appreciate it. Thanks so much, mate.
You can watch Frank's Coventry City and the EFL on Paramount+.